Hello, happy Wednesday, friends. It is Wednesday at noon, and we are doing our weekly Facebook Live. And we have a very special guest who actually isn't from Des Moines. She is from north of Des Moines, Sara Broers. And she is the guru about Midwest travel, I like to say. She knows all things about traveling the Midwest. And with spring break being next week, I thought she would be the perfect person to interview and talk with about spring break travel for families, precautions, those type of things, places to check out. So Sara, I'm going to give you the floor and let you introduce yourself and a little bit about your website and Midwest Travel Networks.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So I am the CEO of Travel with Sara, and there's no H. I always throw that in there. And I'm the co-owner of the Midwest Travel Network. And what we do with the Midwest Travel Network is help connect destinations with writers and bloggers and influencers and people that can best help them tell their story. So we're a connecting piece of people in the Midwest. And a lot of times people will say to us, well, why is this destination in Oklahoma or this destination in Alabama a part of the Midwest Travel Network? Well, a lot of us in the Midwest travel to those places. So if you think about it from a marketing perspective, it makes perfect sense. But what I love about travel is that we, and Erin, you know this, we not only get to experience some really fun things ourselves, but we really have the best jobs in the world when I say that, because we get to share what we do and then watch families experience new things and just have a ball. And that is just, it's so rewarding. It's really rewarding. And I am from the Mason City, Clear Lake area. That's where I live.
Yeah.
In North Iowa.
Right. And so there are so many different gems in the Midwest. The past couple of years, once I got connected with Midwest Travel Networks and got involved in it more, I learned you can sleep with the cows in Iowa and you can go to a llama farm and you can do all these fun things that not a lot of people know about. What is, just curiosity, what has been your favorite thing to do in the Midwest? I know there's so many things, but just what's at the top of the list?
Okay, at the top of my list is Goodland, Kansas, out in the field with a herd of bison singing Home on the Range. How more Americana Midwest can you get? Okay?
Right.
That's probably my all-time high moment. That's really probably one of the moments that I talk about was a wow factor. The one thing I don't think people realize is Kansas is not flat. And I think Nebraska is not all flat either. Kansas has Monument Rocks, which is an absolutely beautiful place. If you've not been in Western Kansas, Monument Rocks in Kansas is a beautiful place. And here's the thing: you're literally on gravel roads driving out to it, and you literally come to these rocks that are in the middle of everywhere, should I say? Because that's where they're in the middle of everywhere. But you see these rocks, and then wheat fields or pasture and cows maybe around it, and that's a really cool spot in the Midwest. The other place that I think a lot of people don't realize is Lake Erie Islands and Shores, Sandusky, Ohio.
Oh, wow.
Kelly's Island is an island, obviously, that you ferry over to. And I kid you not, when I've gotten home from there a few times, I look through my pictures and it's like I was in the Caribbean. If I was looking at my pictures that I had of the Caribbean and pictures here of Ohio, I think that was the Caribbean, but I know I was in Ohio and I know I took that picture in Ohio. But I don't think people think of Ohio as that at all.
Right.
And that's a fun place because you get to tootle around on a golf cart. And the other place, Hamilton County, Ohio, has art in a cart. So you have all these sculptures, in Des Moines, that you have the Papa John Sculpture Park. Mason City, we have the Sculpture Walk, River City Sculpture Walk. But they have art out in a park. I'm talking a big park. And you drive a golf cart, which they call art carts. It's the only place in the world where you can drive an art cart, they drive a little cart right up to a sculpture. So
that's cool.
You can drive through the park, but hey, if you can drive a golf cart off-road, that's a little more fun.
Right.
Those are three really cool spots that I don't think a lot of people know about.
Yeah, no, the Ohio one, I'm gonna have to add that to my list because that sounds amazing. I definitely would like to
There's a
feel like
lot
I'm
in
in the
that area. Well,
Caribbean.
most people think of Cedar Point. When they think of Ohio, a lot of people think of Cedar Point, the roller coaster capital of the world. And that
Right.
is in Sandusky. But there's other
Okay.
things there. The Marblehead Lighthouse. If you like lighthouses, there's a beautiful lighthouse there as well. So, yeah, it's a good area.
Awesome. So this time of year, obviously the past year, a lot of travel, like people have just been concerned about traveling and a lot of it has
Mm,
stopped. So I mean, what have you been seeing through, the past couple of months with traveling through the Midwest? Are you seeing it happening? Like, what type of safety precautions have you been seeing? So, families that are watching here thinking about, oh,
right.
hey, we're thinking about doing a 1 or 2 day road trip somewhere next week. What can you share with them about what you've been seeing?
I think the biggest part is if you're traveling in the Midwest. I was actually the last couple of weeks I've been in the southeast in Alabama, New Orleans, Mississippi area, and actually traveled through Missouri, Iowa, uh, quite a bit. The last actually 4 road trips back and forth through there in the last couple of weeks. And I will say this: just know and pay attention to the signs on doors before you go into a gas station. If they say masks required, you need to have a mask on. And I'm advising people put on a mask even if it does not say masks required. Because here's the
Mhm.
deal: we're out there traveling, you don't know who or what's around you. Common sense says to me that during a pandemic, we should be doing what we need to do to protect others and to protect ourselves. Because I don't want to go on vacation and come home and be sick or find out that I was and I know you
Right.
can get this and not know where you caught it, because believe me, I know that can happen. But we do the things to protect ourselves and others. It's a big step. If you are traveling by car, we have in our the car doors, there's usually a pocket for something junk. Is
Mhm.
what usually papers
The
usually
junk
land
spot.
there. Put hand
Yes.
sanitizer there. Put a bottle of hand sanitizer. Put 4 bottles of hand sanitizer in your car in the wells of the door. So
Mhm.
that way, all of your passengers can sanitize their hands as soon as they get into the car. And that's something simple that everyone can do. It's
Right.
kind of simple. And be sure you travel with a few masks. And so
Mhm.
you can wash them out or you need to throw them away. And the other thing, if you're throwing a mask away, it doesn't go on the ground, it goes in a garbage can. That tends to be
Right.
something that I've seen a lot more of, is just masks as garbage on the streets and on the road and that kind of thing. But it is what it is. But we all do our
Right.
part. It's a little easier. But yeah, and pay attention to what go to the state website to find out if there are any specific rules. Here in Iowa, if we go to travel to the Northeast, we technically have to 14-day quarantine. In a lot of the states, I haven't looked at it the last week, New York, and on North, but that's just the way it is. So if you're traveling to
Mhm.
those places, just know what the rules are while you're there, and don't find
Right.
yourself caught up in a mess.
Yeah.
I think that's
And another
important.
thing, yeah, another thing is like when you are planning your trip, wherever you go, like look at the specific attractions that you're going to. I know a lot of people are, requesting that you reserve a spot beforehand and stuff like that. So just, yeah, plan out your trip. I mean, so many people want you to come and visit and, you know, be there. And so I think it's, we can do it safely and support them. It's important. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I will say museums. I've had some people tell me they have no interest in going to museums right now because they think you're so close to people. Well, I'm telling you right
Right.
now, museums are not packed with people. They're probably one of the safest attractions, but do find out ahead of time if you need an appointment to visit or a specific time, and
Mhm.
don't be disappointed. So when you walk up to the door and they say, "Oh, our limit for the day or limit for the hour has been reached," and even if you have to pick up the phone and call to find out what the current things are, because a lot of these places are short staffed during the pandemic and do not
Mhm.
have time to update on social media or update their websites, which can be
Right.
frustrating for travelers. So it's
Yeah.
maybe a time where you do pick up the phone to get the direct answer and don't be disappointed. But their places are open for business and they do want people to come through. And we have to be smart about how we go about it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's awesome. Is there anything else you want to add to, spring break, travel, Midwest, anything before we sign off?
I think with with spring break, I think the biggest thing is just to be smart about where you're going. And if you find yourself surrounded in a building inside with a lot of people, it's time. You should exit as soon as you can. Just
Right.
don't find yourself in that. Put yourself in a predicament that you don't need to be in. I think that's something. And also, one of the most underrated destinations in the Midwest, in my opinion, is Medora, North Dakota.
Yeah.
Population under 130 people. I'm just telling you, Theodore Roosevelt National Park. Plan a visit. You will not be disappointed. It's the longest running outdoor musical in the country. Plays
Oh,
from
wow.
Memorial Day through usually the middle of September, and it did go successfully last year. They did hold it, and they held it last year, and I actually did attend it last year during COVID, and people were spread out in seating, and it was
Mhm.
an outdoor event, but it that's a great place to go to. Physical distance. It's going to
Right.
be a word. I think it's going to be with us for a little while, and
Mhm.
most importantly, just get in the car and road trip. And if you hop
Right.
on an Iowa scenic byway, there's several scenic byways in the state of Iowa, and see what you can find. Play a little game with your kids. Who can find the first stop sign on the scenic byway? Who can find the first
Right.
bison on the scenic byway? Who can find the first cow on the scenic byway? Something as
Yes.
simple as that, just to get out of the
Right.
house.
Yeah, and just exploring the state you live in. And there's so many parks, state parks that have been wonderful, and I think we've all kind of taken advantage of those over the past year as, getting out there and exploring those. So those are also awesome
Yeah.
options during spring break too. So there's
Yeah.
plenty. There's so much to do during spring break to be a part of the Midwest and support the Midwest. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, well,
Another
thank you,
fun place, if
Sara.
you haven't been over to Elkhorn, Iowa, head
Oh,
over there,
yes.
visit the Danish windmill.
Yeah,
They're
I
open.
have not been there, so I need to go there, and that's not
They're
far from
open. Go
me.
take a selfie under the windmill. Hey.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, thank you, Sara, for joining us today on our Wednesday Facebook Live.
Yeah.
I
Thank you.
appreciate your spending your time with us. If you're watching the replay, feel free to drop any questions or comments, or maybe letting us know what you're going to be doing for spring break next week, and maybe we can help you, guide you on some fun things to do in that area. But we will see you next, or you know what? We will not have a Facebook Live next week. We will see you in 2 weeks. And I hope everyone has a wonderful spring break. Bye.